So what makes someone at the top of their game walk away? When Michael Jordan hit that 17-foot jump shot over Utah Jazz forward Byron Russell, sealing his sixth title with the Chicago Bulls, we knew the man was leaving the game on top. For the sake of my argument though, I'm not going to acknowledge the Wizards' years. I think a lot of athletes would love to leave their job on top, and I think a lot of people would love to do the same. There's a sense of pride knowing that I accomplished everything I could ever accomplish here. Now it's my time to ride off into the sunset. Adrian Wojnarowski certainly falls into this category. After a 30-plus year career in journalism, Woj called it quits in September 2024, walking away from $20 million and maybe the most prestigious gig in the NBA game. If you don't know, Woj was an NBA newsbreaker, meaning if you're a fan of the NBA like I am, you not only followed him on every social media platform, but you waited on pins and needles for what we lovingly called Woj bombs. The man knew everything going on around the league. If Woj stated that sources say so-and-so has requested a trade, you might as well take that to the bank. He knew exactly where your favorite player was going months before you did. Sometimes he even knew months before they did. He knew exactly how much your favorite team was signing a key free agent for in free agency, and that was before it even started. Woj was on top of all the injury reports, the trade rumors, and the only time I ever really had beef with Woj was during the draft when he'd spoil picks sometimes minutes before they were even announced on TV. Now minus the one time that he broke the news that Paolo Banchero was going number 1 overall to the Orlando Magic on live TV, I do love Woj. And I was shocked when he abruptly retired. Woj's coverage of the sport was vital to its growth, and on a personal level, I just really admired the guy. But after giving us the biggest Woj bomb of all time, I read his retirement letter and everything started to make sense. He said, "This craft transformed my life, but I've decided to retire from ESPN and the news industry. I understand the commitment required in my role, and it's an investment that I'm no longer driven to make. Time isn't an endless supply, and I want to spend mine in ways that are more personally meaningful." Woj went on to step into a new role as the general manager of the same Bonaventure men's basketball team, his alma mater. I've been enjoying his work and seeing him talk about building the program and whatnot. It's really cool. I'm super happy for the guy. But on December 5th, 2024, I feel like the world got a little bit of insight into his retirement decision. 6 months before his retirement announcement, Woj was diagnosed with prostate cancer. In an interview he did with his friend and former colleague, Chris Mannix, Woj said, "I don't want to spend one more day of my life waiting on someone's MRI or hitting an agent at 1 a.m. about an ankle sprain." In the article, Woj goes on to explain that during the same month in which he was diagnosed with cancer, he attended the memorial service of longtime ESPN NFL insider Chris Mortensen, who died of throat cancer. Mortensen spent more than 3 decades at ESPN. But regarding Woj making the trip to Arkansas for the memorial service, Mannix goes on to write, "What Woj was struck by was how many did not. It made me remember that the job isn't everything," Woj says. "In the end, it's just going to be your family and close friends. And it's also like nobody gives a blank. Nobody remembers breaking stories in the end. It's just vapor." Today, I want to highlight how Woj's story reflects broader themes of burnout, family priorities, and career reinvention. You may not be Woj, and I know I'm certainly not, but I think all parents have struggled with prioritizing work and versus our kids and even our health. Over the next couple of minutes, I hope to set the stage for an inspiring conversation on life beyond professional success and how nothing is more important than our families. Thanks for being here for another episode of Courtside Forever, because as parents, we've got the best seats in the house. Let's enjoy them. Let's start off talking about burnout. If you're a parent, you understand the term burnout. It's where you keep on going and going until either one day you just can't, or you're just going through the motions minus the emotions. Employees at all levels get it too. You know when your boss wants you to work on a project again and again and never gives you the credit? At some point it's exhausting and you're like, what am I doing this for? Woj's experience of always being tied to his phone, missing family moments like movie nights, and the toll it took on his mental and physical health is where I want to start this conversation. The hours are brutal. Holidays, birthdays, barbecues, all threatened by the pursuit of a transaction. Woj's wife referred to his phone as a fifth family member. It went everywhere with him, often interrupting personal moments like family movies and barbecues, like I mentioned. Now, this is where I feel a little bit guilty because I remember getting 4th of July tweets from Woj around NBA free agency. But meantime, I'm thinking like, man, doesn't Woj, is he just trying to eat a cheeseburger or enjoy a barbecue or something like that? And here he is tweeting it out for me. Now, regarding burnout, a few common signs include exhaustion, disengagement, and feeling generally overwhelmed. I know I've never been the Woj of anything I've done, but the constant pressure of proving your worth again and again can certainly lead to burnout. Also, the idea of always being on impacts relationships with family members and your personal well-being. Awareness is the first step to addressing burnout, and there are plenty of grind till I die type people who will never address their burnouts. Maybe some people can handle it better than others, but I will say I've never met a workaholic that I've admired. Even Woj's son Ben didn't admire his 24/7 work schedule, saying, "People think your job is great. I think your job effing sucks. Retire. Go travel with mom." So how do you avoid burnout? Do a few regular self-check-ins with yourself and set boundaries before burnout escalates. If you can't do regular check-ins with yourself, surround yourself with people who can do check-ins for you and will. People like Ben who say, "Hey dad, looks like you're pretty stressed. You need a break." People like that, you know? Sometimes we have a desire to be the best, but at a certain point, we have to decide whether the work is worth it in the end. And next, let's talk about setting healthy boundaries at work. Now, one of my biggest pet peeves in work culture is when people call their colleagues work family. Oh my goodness, I hate that so much. That's not even in the notes. I just really have to talk about how much I do not like that. Anybody who can put you on the unemployment line is not your family. I also know that there are plenty of people who have such skewed vision of healthy work boundaries that every area of their life seeps into the next. A few years ago, I answered a call from one of my colleagues on a Sunday. It was an urgent message, so I answered it, and then we talked about work for 5 minutes and then like nonsense for 25. One call, right? No big deal. Until he called me the following Sunday, and the following Sunday. And eventually I didn't answer, texting him saying that like, "Hey, I'll be at work tomorrow, let's talk." Funny enough, after that, our entire work relationship changed and kind of sucked, to be honest, but I couldn't let their lack of boundaries affect mine. As I mentioned, Woj stepped away from the NBA grind and decided he no longer wanted to prioritize breaking news over family time. I remember on Christmas Day 2022, Woj tweeted out that the Philadelphia 76ers guard James Harden was considering a move back to the Houston Rockets in the offseason. Now, the reason I remember it so well is because I was like, man, Woj bombs on Christmas? Not only that, the timing was extra funny because James Harden was actually about to play in a game like an hour from then. A reporter asked Harden about the news, and Harden said, "Why would you ask me about this on Christmas, man? You didn't say Merry Christmas or nothing. You didn't ask me something that I'm not answering. I didn't see nothing." See, James Harden gets it. Christmas Day is for Jesus, presents, and basketball, not breaking news. When it comes to setting boundaries, we've got to do things such as creating phone-free times and spaces. On Christmas Day, you don't need the notification. Communicate your limits with your employer and family to manage expectations better. I'll be an example here. I've had some awkward conversations with people about this. I've probably gone maybe a little too extreme at times in my boundaries, but if you can find a healthy boundary, lean all the way into it. Oftentimes, people are looking to see how much they can get from you for a minimal cost to them. Don't let them take advantage of you. Ultimately, boundaries protect your energy and allow you to be present for what matters most. Work on Christmas Day, and maybe someone like me will be talking about your decision years down the line, like I am with Woj right now. But does any of that matter when you're facing serious health concerns and questioning how much time you have with your family left? Designate times for your family and personal activities that are non-negotiable. Send that call to voicemail. Turn that Teams notification off. Setting healthy work boundaries is key to a happier and healthy family. And while there's a chance that those decisions could disqualify you from the C-suite or director roles, take it from someone who's worked with a lot of those people. A lot of them are miserable. Next up, let's talk about redefining success as a parent. Now, in recent years, I've had to redefine what success looked like for me. On paper, I look at my resume and think, I should be further in my career than I am. I look around at the people I've worked with and laugh at their titles, thinking about the people that they push under the bus to get there. I also look at my own missteps and think about the times that I should have spent maybe a little more time in my efforts or with a candidate who I didn't maybe provide the best experience for. Recently, I was talking to some buddies, and all of us are in different fields, working about different hours, and all of us were like, man, everything is so jacked up right now. When Woj retired, he made the decision to take a 99% pay cut to focus on meaningful work at his alma mater, St. Bonaventure, and to spend more quality time with his family. The only reason was to stay for the money. That wasn't a good enough reason. Now, Woj turned down $20 million at ESPN to take a $75,000 position at St. Bonaventure, focusing on what truly mattered, and that was fulfillment and family. Now, if we're being honest, I think all of us would like to be in a position where we can actually make that kind of choice. But if there's anything I've ever learned in my career, it's that you never want to count another person's money. Some people will accept a $10,000 raise and receive all the management responsibilities in the world, along with a heavy amount of stress that, quite frankly, it's just not worth it. What's success to you? Is it a title? Is it the money? Is it being present for your family and taking a vacation where you can actually turn off your phone? What is success to you? To me, success isn't just about the financial gain or the professional accolades. It's about the quality time and the relationships and the personal fulfillment. You'll probably hear me say this every 5 episodes or so, but at the end of everyone's life, the biggest regrets that people have is not spending more time with their families. Aligning work with family values is the ultimate success, which is why I love seeing professionally successful people also be great parents. It warms my heart thinking of the people who would cheat and steal to get into their shoes, only to realize that the person they look up to would never compromise their family values for worldly success. True success integrates work and family priorities together. Maybe you can do that in the C-suite, and maybe you can't. Maybe you got to cut back on hours or sacrifice a tropical vacation to spend a little more time at home with your kids. Now, what you need to do is create a personal definition of success that includes the professional and family achievements. But let me be super clear. Nobody worth emulating has ever picked a career over their family. Success is often a weird concept, especially when it's defined by other people. Last year, I won my NBA fantasy league, which was awesome. But watching former players of mine go off on other teams had me stressed. But another friend of mine just picked their favorite players on their favorite team and vibed out throughout the season. I guarantee you they had a much better time than I had. And lastly, let's talk about finding fulfillment beyond work. If I was Steve Harvey and I hosted Family Feud, and the question, what questions do you ask someone after just meeting them, came up, what do you think the top answer would be? Steve, what do you do for work? The survey says, ding, 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 top answer. It's what we all want to know. It's the most surface level question you could ask because within a millisecond, you get insight into their social status, maybe their financial status, maybe what kind of person you're even dealing with. And it certainly gives you the opportunity to ask maybe more follow-up questions and more than likely hope that you have some similarities with this person so you can sit next to them at this kid's birthday party and just have something to talk about. But really, who cares? Do you really care what they do for work? Maybe if they're like, I teach dogs how to speak like humans, I'd say, hold up. I got a couple follow-up questions, but otherwise it's just like, Woj realized that the job isn't everything, and in the end, what truly matters is family and close friends. Woj shared how attending a memorial service for his colleague who worked decades in media clarified for him that work achievements fade, but relationships and family, that's what matters. It took Woj getting to the pinnacle of his career to see this. A few years ago, I read this book called Strength to Strength by Arthur C. Brooks, and in it, I remember him mentioning seeing someone on a plane who he had long admired because of his accomplishments, but then he overheard a conversation in which the same accomplished man made it clear how he was absolutely miserable in life. It's like climbing a mountain and going, oh, I climbed the wrong mountain. There are ways to find joy and purpose outside of work, such as hobbies and volunteering and simply just spending quality time with the people you love. We spend all this time seeking fulfillment at work, but person after person will tell you that genuine joy comes outside of it. The importance of being present and engaged as a parent is one of the biggest wins that you can ever make, and the theory has been tested for centuries. Family is the most important area of our lives and worth every ounce of investment. Life is way more than your career. Invest in what makes you and your family happy, because you don't have to just follow Woj's example. How many times have you heard people giving their all at work and dying way too young? Just this year, I've had 2 former colleagues who I worked really closely with in the past pass away. And all I can think of is how hard both of them worked and the hours they spent away from their families. Ultimately, schedule regular family activities and prioritize moments that bring you closer together. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. Nobody does. But if tomorrow is the last day on earth, will anybody give one single you-know-what about your job? Absolutely not. No matter what, we've got to find joy outside of our paycheck. And now, before we go, let's hit the highlights. Let's talk about how we can redefine success and prioritize what really matters. Number one, you've got to assess your priorities regularly. Take a step back and evaluate if your current career or life choices align with your core values and your long-term goals. Ask yourself, am I fulfilled by what I do every day? It's never too late to start something new or backtrack. You can't full time, but you also don't have to let it dictate you being miserable just because you spent a lot of time in that area that no longer serves you. Number two, you've got to listen to your health and well-being. Pay attention to the signs of burnout or stress. Schedule regular health checkups and make proactive changes to prioritize your physical and mental health. At the end of the day, if you got your health, you've got almost everything, and that includes your mental health. So please, please, please don't let someone else take that from you. Number three, you got to seek advice from people you trust. Reach out to people who have faced similar decisions or challenges. Their insights can help you gain perspective and confidence in terms of taking that next step. This is why having smart people around you is so important. You could listen to a friend whose goals is to own a Cybertruck, or you could ask your friend's dad who just retired what they would do if they had to do it all again. And number four, take action towards fulfillment. You got to identify opportunities that excite you and inspire you, even if they require a leap of faith. Don't be afraid to redefine success on your own terms, focusing on meaningful impact over traditional achievements. What is meaningful? What is traditional? Does it make sense to you, or is that what you thought you should be doing as a professional? Woj built an empire off of being available 24/7, providing breaking news that would generate clicks for major sporting news networks. But in the end, it's just vapor. Spend your life building something that lasts. Thanks for being here for another episode of Courtside Forever, where our goal is to ensure that parents enjoy the best seats in the house. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend or two, and feel free to reach out with any comments or questions. I'm your host, Ryan Rucker, and I appreciate you being here. Take care.